Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Srisha.
It's a great pleasure to have you here with us today.
And I think it's a great honor for me as well.
Good afternoon to all of you here.
Good afternoon.
So, like I said, it's an honor to have you here with us today, and the following 30 minutes is very, very special for all of us because we are very fortunate to listen to you. We're going to be able to listen to you, and most importantly, all these girls, including me, we're going to get that superpower, strength, and confidence that's going to help us grow as a person and help us lead a successful future. And I'm sure you all agree with me today. So, and I'm quite sure when you looked at all these girls today, some kind of memory from your school days would have flashed back in. So to begin our interaction today, I would like to ask, you were once a student, like these girls here, going through everything that they're going through right now, experiencing all aspects like exams, sports, learning, friends, and peer pressure. So could you share with us how you nurtured yourself to have that winning self-image, confidence, and self-esteem?
Thank you, Srisha. I don't think I nurtured myself. I think I just let the society around me, people around me, the family around me nurture me. Because I think there's so much of experience out there.
Very true.
Coming to school, I don't remember exams at all.
That is
just
wonderful.
don't remember exams at all. And it was anything but raising your blood pressure for my parents, or it was easy. And I always used to start cooking, for whatever it was. I used to start cooking when we used to have exams. So I used to make an apple pie for my father. This is something I remember very vividly. So then my father would say, I wish you had exams more often because I would get to taste your apple pie.
Amazing.
So that's how I grew up, and I don't think I remember getting traumatized by exams and tests and so on. And there was so much of learning that happened all around me because I grew up with family. My grandmother, great-grandmother, my cousins, my friends, and there's so much of playing that I remember with my neighbors and learning to ride, cycling on the roads in Arispuram. Now you know how Arispuram in Coimbatore is. It's so bad. The traffic is so bad. Probably there would be a sprinkling of houses in Arispuram, and we would be riding the cycle crazily along all the roads, no fear of anything. But today, there are a few trees and more houses. More houses, more apartments. So then you slowly start going inside your home. When I was growing up, it was open, and now if you look at it, it's all going inside, getting locked up in an apartment and getting locked up in country jungles. So there's hardly any space or place for children to go out and play.
We've definitely missed
So
out
that's
a
what
lot.
I remember about my school. There was so much of fun. There was so much of camaraderie with the family, with friends, and that's the memory I have of school growing up.
It's amazing. I'm sure students in our generation have missed out a lot of this, and we did not have the opportunity to go play out like how you did, or even my mom or doctor did, right? And I think this generation, girls and students, are very much inspired and want to take, the next step to bring a change and be the change makers of our nation. So we'll all join hands with you for that. Yeah.
And I think children in SSVM, this I speak from experience because we've had a lot of interaction with SSVM kids. They are really a class apart, very different. In fact, I used to comment to my Apex members, because we used to organize a lot, we still do organize a lot of camps for children, and the kind of participation from SSVM kids is definitely a class apart. And I think a lot of it goes to Mr. and Mrs. Mohan, because Mohandas, because I think they have personally tried to compensate for what the children are missing out in today's scenario.
So it was wonderful listening to your experience in your childhood, making pies and playing outside and all that. So the next question I would like to ask you is, who inspired you, and did you have a role model or mentor during that time? Because this question is quite important to all of us, because there are so many women leaders evolving these days in our society. And I'm really fortunate to have leaders like you in Coimbatore to look up to. And how would you encourage these girls here to look for the right role models?
Role model makes me nostalgic. I grew up with a role model at home. It was my great-grandmother, Amaima, as she was called. It's more than 50 years since I lost her. But she's still so fresh in my mind, still so fresh. She got married probably when she was 12. She was widowed when she was 16. And she was a person who was very, very particular about her clothes, about being clothed properly, and dressed, she wouldn't like to bare her body, that sort of a thing. But societal pressures, she was made to wear white, and she was made to remove her blouse, because those days widows were not supposed to wear blouses. She faced a lot of challenges with a girl child, wealth taken away by her own family. She had a lot of money, wealth taken away by her family. Single-handedly, she took her daughter, walked all the way to her mother's village. She supported her child, supported her daughter, got her married. Grandchildren, she said, now I don't want my children to go through what I went through. 3 granddaughters. Those days, even going to school was a rarity. For girls got married very early and they were not sent to school. But she made sure that all her grandchildren went to college. Graduates, postgraduates. She was a woman of grit and determination. She was determined, come what may, what the society did to me, I will not let that touch my children. And she was a tremendous lady. She was a marvelous lady. And I was her favorite. So I think there was a lot that I imbibed from her. Very subtle, but very affectionate, very, very affectionate, but very determined lady. She knew what she wanted in life. She gave her best to her children. She made sure they were independent and came up in life. And she's my role. I think she would be the best role model. I have a lot of role models, but she always stands first. The next was my father, because my father always believed that girls are as equal as boys. And of course my mother always had a soft corner for boys. Her sons were special for her. But then my father made sure that both me and my sister were given a lot of freedom, a lot of exposure to, because during my school days, It was always like you finish your school, maybe you go to college and then you get married. But he made sure that he sent me abroad, got me exposed to the Western world. He said, no, you will have to do a diploma, whatever your mother says. Your mother wants to get married. On one side, here was my mother who used to go around temples for me to get married. And the other side was my father who said, no, you will have to go and do a diploma in business management. And there was a lot of freedom that he gave me, a lot of encouragement, very quiet, but a solid support for me in life. He was a great role model for me as well.
Incredible.
It reminds me a lot about you, Srisha, because I have seen both your parents give you the kind of support they have given you. Today, you are what you are at this young age, very, very admirable that you've done so well for yourself, starting from your rifle shooting and your music. I think they gave you a lot of support. And
well.
That's why you blossomed into such a beautiful flower.
Definitely,
yeah.
Definitely. I've always been saying that they are my inspiration and role models, just like how your grandmom and dad are.
Yeah.
Family has been everything. If they didn't give me that support, I don't think I'll be who I am today. So thank you so much. We're all like fortunate to have this kind of parents.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure.
No, I'm sure each one of you has a role model, has someone in your family. It could be an uncle, it could be an aunt, it could be a cousin. All of them are at home, right at your doorstep. It is just that you just observe them, look at them, and then start following it. Because your heart will be able to tell you, now this is what I want to do in life. And this person stands for that ideology, whatever you have in your mind. And that would take you through. Yeah?
Heart is filled with happiness because I think they've got the right answer. So who to look for and how to look for the right role model. You have the answer now. Thank you so much.
Your heart will be able to tell you that.
Yes.
Just listen to your inner voice. Most often than not, it is your inner voice which will direct you. Most of the time what happens is we put it on mute. We put it on silent, the inner voice. And that's when you get carried away by the external world. Listen to your internal world. Be connected with your internal world. There's so much that can happen to you.
Thank you, ma'am. So moving on to the next question. We've heard quite a few things about your family already, but what kind of role did they play in your success story?
Huge role, I would say, because going away, taking up a full-time career, then taking up an activity in society which takes away a lot of your time from home, taking away a lot of your time from your family, that will not happen if you don't have the support of your family. And I think in that way, my husband and my children, and I would say my two little lovely grandchildren, they have been very supportive to me. If they had been demanding, or even if they sort of whimpered and said, no, you're not there for us, you're going away again, that would put a big guilt on you.
Correct.
Right? And I think they have been tremendously supportive to whatever I have been doing. In fact, when I took over as the first woman president of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, yes, there was a lot of apprehension because we had such stalwarts who were the past presidents of the chamber. I had my apprehension. I said, I can't do it. I don't want to let down the reputation of the chamber. And that's when my husband and my son said, no, you have to go for it. You are going for it. So I think that was a lot of support from them. And my younger son, he said, why do they have to say you're a first woman president? You are as good as the man president. So why would they say you're anything different? Exactly. So that's the kind of support that I had from my family. So I think I was lucky.
Very true.
All of us are lucky. All of us are lucky. It's just the way that you convey the message to them about your conviction. Your conviction is strong, and your conviction is honest. Your purpose is honest. Then I think people around you accept you as well.
Definitely. That's a very strong advice that you have to take, really, because we all have some kind of strength and support that we receive from our family. It's just the way we convey it so that they accept, and they always want the best out of you, right? So
Yeah.
when you put it out in the best way possible, we're always going to have that support. Yeah. Thank you for that, ma'am. So moving on to the next question. We've all witnessed a tremendous amount of efforts and impact that Sirutuli has made in Coimbatore and its water bodies like Noyal. And we would like to know how Sirutuli came into existence and how you became the managing trustee at the organization.
When I was growing up as a kid, my school was up till the 6th standard, it was St. Francis Convent. And we had this huge water body, Valangulam, in front of our school. And there were hardly any buildings. And when we used to drive to school, a gentle spray of water from the Valangulam would fall in the windshield. That's so vivid in my mind. And that's the amount of water we had in that particular water body. And right in front of my eyes, slowly over a period of time, the water was going down. Down and down and down until you found nothing. It was just a dry bed. People would not even look at it as a water body. People started playing cricket in it, and that's how bad it was. Okay, soon after school, you just take all this for granted. Water bodies, the river, you think it's just going to be there all the time. You take it for granted. And there again, I would remember my great-grandmother, because she had a farm along the Noyal River. And every time we used to go to the farm with her, there was so much of water in the river, so much of water. She would never let us go anywhere near the river because you could get washed away. So that's my memory of the Noyal. And then over a period of time, okay, after school, college, you get caught up in your own world. You have your family and then your children. And then suddenly you wake up and say, hey, what's happening around me? I think I went back to sleep. And now the whole place is different. There's no water in the water body. There's no water in the river. What happened? And then you have people screaming, I don't have water. We have water supply happening once in 15 days, once in 20 days. And where did we lose the river? Where did we lose the water? All that water that we had, a river that was flowing with so much of intensity, where has it all gone? And that's when a few of us, we started feeling remorseful about it. And I think we have been responsible for the river drying up, for the water bodies drying up. Now, I think we need to do something about it. And Sirutuli was born more out of fear rather than a sense of service to society. It was fear. I think we need to do something for water, otherwise we are going to be left behind. We are going to be left with no water. And what do you do with no water? Okay, whatever is happening in the rest of the country, there were some people who said, no, it's the same situation in Bangalore, it's the same situation in Chennai. So we said, why can't it be different in Coimbatore? Why do you have to say that Bangalore is going through the same water scarcity or Mumbai is going through the same scarcity? Ultimately, it is scarcity, and I think it is the responsibility of each one of us. It's not the responsibility of the government or the corporation or the district administration to provide water for you, because each one of us has been indiscriminately drawing a lot of water from the ground. The amount of water that we have been sucking from the aquifers, for instance, in Coimbatore alone, as against and you could have probably a lakh of borewells, but today we have more than 5 lakh borewells. We have just been indiscriminately drawing water. Now, if you're going to be constantly taking instead of giving, even in a bank, You go to an ATM, unless you deposit money, you will not be able to take back any money. So it's the same for water. We have done nothing about it. So we have been taking away a lot of water. So I think it's time that we give back. And that was how Sirutuli was born.
It's great.
It's all about giving back to Mother Nature. Because
Definitely.
Mother Nature is constantly, every second of our lives, she's giving us air to breathe. She's giving us water. She's giving us so many things. And I think it's our turn to give back.
Definitely. And this is something we have to remind ourselves every day.
Constantly.
Constantly, yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we'd like to hear also about how you became the managing trustee of the organization.
We had, even before Sirutuli was formed, we undertook some water conservation activities in and around our factory in Perinakemalem as part of our CSR. Those days CSR was not a buzzword like it is today. We took up water conservation, small little water bodies which had gone dry, totally dry, and the wells, adjoining wells had gone dry, the bore wells had gone dry. So as an experiment we started desilting water bodies and cleaning up the channels, which is more important. It's all like your blood vessels which carry blood to your heart.
Right.
So when your blood vessels get blocked, then your heart goes into a spasm.
Yeah.
So very similar to a water body. So we clean the channels, we clean the water bodies, and with monsoon setting in, the water bodies all filled up. And as a result, the adjoining wells, the adjoining bore wells, all of them got recharged. So that was something which was very encouraging, you know, and
Yeah.
this is the way to be. So personally from pre-call we approached the district collector, then district collector, and said, why can't we do something about Valangulam, because Valangulam was the one we are looking at every day.
Right.
So the collector said, no, there's no river, water in the river, and so unless there is water in the river, there will not be any water in the water bodies. So then we asked ourselves a question, why is it that there is no water in the river? Why should the river go dry? There must be a reason. Let's start looking at the entire Noel River basin. So when we went to the PWD, it was all in shreds, you know, the entire map was all in shreds. We put it all together. We had the entire Noel River basin mapped, and what we saw was just beautiful. You have the Western Ghats in the background. So many mountain streams coming down the Western Ghats, all of them connected to the river. And then the river, the water from the river flowing into the water bodies, from one water body to another, into another, into another, finally back into the river, and then the river flows. It was such a beautiful, it was like a necklace around the city of Coimbatore. That's how well it was designed by the Cholas.
Yeah.
So many centuries ago. So then what we saw was so beautiful, and in 2003 the situation, water situation became so bad, we said we have to do something about it. So that's when a few of us came together and said, let's do something, let's not just discuss, let's not waste time talking about it. I think let's get into the act. And lives as long as civilization is alive, I think that's something that we constantly have to be doing. And if that is not done, I think we will have no one to blame but ourselves if we run into a situation where you're talking about Cape Town, which has just gone dry. You are talking about so many places which have no water to even drink. Then it's a question of time before it catches up on us.
Incredible.
At Coimbatore it won't happen. We are all there.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you for leading this and being that change maker, and we'll all follow
No,
you.
it's a wonderful team that, and I think we have all of you. Mom has supported very big way. Mom and Dad have supported in a very big way, and I think In Tamil there's a saying which says ஊர் கூடி தேர் இழுக்கணும். ஊர் கூடி தேர் இழுத்தாதான் தேர் நகரும். Yeah?
Yeah.
A single individual cannot do that.
Definitely. Thanks to everyone who's been a part of it. Yeah. So moving on to the next question. Was there a turning point or a moment where you realized what you have to do? In other words, you discovered your purpose and started working towards it to become who you are today?
I'm so glad you asked me that question, Srisha, because nobody has asked me that question.
Wonderful.
And it was a big turning point in my life. When I still remember, I went to this temple for my 50th birthday. I was in a temple on my 50th birthday. And I said, what's the purpose of my life? Where am I going? What is it that I want to do end of the day? Is it all about going to work, coming back, looking after your children, looking after your grandchildren, looking after your husband, going shopping, coming back, going for holidays? Is that what life is all about? And if that is what life is all about, I don't think I want to lead that kind of a life, because I feel a kind of a hollowness inside me which is weighing me down. I want a purpose in my life. I really want a purpose in my life. And this is what I prayed. I sincerely prayed. And it was so dramatic, Srisha. I can tell you that it was so dramatic. After my 50th birthday, there were so many things that started. It was like a puzzle that was falling into place. And this is, I promise, this is exactly what happened. I believe when you seek and when there is an internal thirst inside you to do something beyond what you're ordained to do as a human being, then the path opens up. It just opens up into a beautiful boulevard. It's a beautiful boulevard out there. And today, yes, I'm doing all the mundane things which a human being has to do. But more important than that, I know where I'm going. My destination is right in front of me, and I'm enjoying every day of my life moving towards that, which is putting a smile on Mother Nature's face.
Exactly.
So that is something, it was a dramatic changing point in my life. I still remember like it was yesterday, because there I was standing there. Normally when you go to a temple, you say, okay, my business is bad, or my husband is not well, or my children are, they have to study, the usual prayers. But that day, my prayer was just this: I want a purpose in my life. And I think I found it.
Amazing. I'm fortunate that that day came into your life.
It's surprising. It's taken a young charming girl like you to ask me that question.
I've also voiced out what
I've been
students have
interviewed by
asked.
so many people,
Yeah.
but nobody has asked me what was a changing tipping point in your life.
Thank you, ma'am. So there is a plethora of women empowerment topics that could have been discussed here today, but there is a question that I came across from a student that got me wondering. There are some of us here today in the society who might think that women empowerment may not be necessary, or feel it's irrelevant. What is your take on this type of perception, and how would you encourage them to think that this is a very crucial movement for this generation?
If I think I'm not empowered, I'll remain unempowered all my life. But if I'm secure within myself, I know I am empowered, and from centuries, Kalam Kalama, in our Puranas, women were given a silent, they had a silent role to play, but a very strong role. Women were Shakti and Shiva. It was Shakti was with the lady, right?
Exactly.
And if you think you are empowered, you don't have to worry, you don't have to go and ask anybody for them to give you empowerment. It's there in you. It's just that you have to recognize that I'm already empowered. Now all I need to do is just go and get it, right? And with empowerment, if I'm secure within myself, I can do what I want. An empowered person always knows his or her limits, right? It is just that when you want to cross limits and then you call it empowerment, then it doesn't work.
True.
But if you think you're empowered, I think you are the most powerful person. Very powerful.
I think that thought should be there in
I believe
everyone.
a lot in Nari Shakti. Nari Shakti does not have to come from the department of women's empowerment or whatever department, doesn't have to come from there. It is there right inside you.
Exactly. All that movement is going on in here.
Yes or no, children? Yes, it's all there inside you, waiting to be unleashed. Huh? And I think you're very fortunate. There are so many girls in and around this region who did not get this opportunity. I think we'll have to give Srisha and Manimeghale ma'am a very big hand for organizing this event, and then I'm sure she's going to organize a series of events. I think it's wonderful. The children can learn so much. And empowerment is not about, please, I don't like this where you take off your inner clothes, and that is not freedom, women's lib. Women's lib is not about being empowered. It's about being secure within yourself as a woman, as a human being. After all, what is the differentiating factor between a man and a woman? Just some physical attributes, right? Beyond that, there is nothing. All of us are human beings with the same brain, with the same heart, with the same everything. So why should it be different? Over a period of time, some vested interests have put that into our heads, saying that the women have to be relegated to the background or whatever it is. Otherwise, no. We are equal or even better because of the challenges a woman faces, because there's a lot more responsibilities for a woman. And on this, I would like to also tell the young girls here, before we go on to say, I want to become an astronaut, I want to become an engineer, I want to become a super specialist. First of all, we have been given the responsibility of making a home. Our best gift that God has given a woman is to nurture a baby in her womb, bring the child out, create a home for her or him, and then create a home for the entire family. And that's such a huge empowerment that has been given by nature, right, for a woman.
Yes.
And let's understand that. So first and foremost, our responsibility is to create a nice home. Let's create a nice home. And then we go on to become astronauts, we go on to become scientists, whatever. Then all of this will happen most naturally if your home is intact. Today it's a woman, our role starts with creating the best a home, right? So aren't we empowered? Yes. In a big way.
Definitely. We should never let ourselves down, and at any point feel equal at all times. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, because I think this would have opened up a lot of the girls' minds, and they will come out of this event in a very, completely new energy.
See, when
level.
a child is born, the mother, most naturally she holds the baby. Yeah? Nobody teaches her. Immediately the mother just takes the child and holds the child against her bosom. Hand the child over to the father, he'll run all over the place. He can't hold the child. No, it's too tiny. It's, that's where it starts.
Yeah. Very
so
true.
naturally empowered.
Incredible.
To hold the baby, to hold the world, to everything in our hands.
That's great. I would also like to ask, I'm sure a lot of them would have probably, voiced out this question to you, but confidence plays an important role in everyone's lives when they want to succeed, right? And how do you think you can encourage these girls to have that confidence in them?
First, you start believing in yourself. Whatever others tell you about, whether it is your peers or anyone in school saying don't let anybody brand you. Just believe in yourself, and that's why I come back to the point I told you first. Listen to your inner voice. Your inner voice can tell you so many things. So the best is to be with yourself at least for about 15 minutes in a day. Talk to your soul. There's so much that the soul can guide you, which even your parents, your teachers, your family will not be able to tell you. Believe me, there is so much that you can learn from you. And when you start being connected with you, with the real you, that's when your confidence grows.
Exactly.
Then you start believing in yourself. When you don't believe in yourself, and that's when you start believing in what others have to tell about you. It could be negative, it could be positive. Probably if it's positive, then in a small way your confidence grows, but that also is not permanent. Somebody is going to tell you something negative about you, immediately your spirits come down. Then you have such a low self-esteem about yourself. And then you're not there. I mean, you've lost out on life. But if you start being connected with you as a person, I think there's a lot that can happen to you as a person in terms of your self-esteem and your confidence. Ultimately, end of the day, I think it's our self-esteem which matters a lot. From self-esteem grows your confidence, your interaction with the world, how you face challenges, how you move on in life. All of that starts there, right?
Can't agree more.
That happens when you're connected with yourself. Maybe it may not make sense to you, but just believe me, start being with yourself. Not with the phone, not with the video game, not with the chat. Just be with yourself. And then you start listening to your inner voice. It will be tough initially, but after some time, you'll start enjoying that conversation. Truly enjoying that conversation. Now we are waiting for the mother to speak to you, father to speak to you, brother, sister, friends, nobody has called me, I haven't. No, it becomes a kind of a, what shall I say, you start thirsting for external aspects to satisfy you. But the minute you are happy with yourself, anchored within yourself, that's the right word. If you're anchored within yourself, you don't need anything. You can just be so easy within yourself. Yeah?
Agreed. Very well agreed. I'm very sure they're all feeling empowered right now. 100% or even more.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah? So happy. I'm always happy to be with children because children are so beautiful. So beautiful. They are like blotting paper. Absorb everything that goes around themselves, and all the more it becomes important when schools like SSVM give them the right values. Today, unfortunately, we are chasing the wrong things. We are teaching the children to chase the wrong things. But where a school, an educational institution, teaches its children to chase the right values, go after the right values, then they are safe for life.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here with us today, and listening to your stories in a much more personal level. It's such a rare thing. I don't think anyone else would have had this opportunity, and all of you, including me, we're all lucky. We're all lucky for this moment.
Thank you, Srisha. And I think for me it has been, I think it was a moment of introspection for me as well. See, when you are doing 101 things within 24 hours, you hardly get time to introspect.
Definitely.
And then thank you for taking me down memory lane. There's a lot of good memories.
I'm just going to hop on to one last question. We've heard a lot of your advices through all these questions so far, but what is like one strong advice or 3 pieces of advice you would like to give to these girls in the current generation?
Take charge. Don't let the Narendra Modis or Rahul Gandhis tell you what you have to do for your nation. You have a responsibility. I don't care who comes to power, but I have a responsibility to go and vote. Yeah, that is a fundamental responsibility. I need to do what I have to do, and then I have to take charge. Not only take charge of my life, I have to take charge of my home, I have to take charge of my country, and I have to take charge of the world. Doesn't matter. It could be a small speck that you are taking charge of, but that small speck will become an ocean. And that's why we say Siratuli Peruvallam. Small drops make an ocean. The world is yours. Doesn't belong to Narendra Modi's and Rahul Gandhi.
Very well agreed. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you, Srisha.
really grateful to you for giving us your time amongst your busy schedules, definitely. And if any of you would like to ask a question to ma'am, I think we do have time for a couple of questions. Yeah?
Ma'am, do you think there'll come a time for males and females to have equal opportunities and rights in the society?
You don't have to fight for it. Just be normal and say, I have an equal right. If each one of you starts saying that, I have an equal right, it is only when someone says, no, I don't have an equal right, then that negative thought starts cascading. And then what happens is suddenly you find yourself saying, I don't have an equal right. Yes, there is a gender bias. I am not saying no. But by and large, that gender bias has been created by women. Right?
Yes,
I'm sure in the right direction, if we move in the right direction and you start feeling empowered without having to fight for it, there will be equal opportunities for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
You have motivated all of us to become empowered by your words. So I just have a doubt. Like, how could we, as students, how could we help the other women out there who have not had the opportunity to listen to your words and become empowered? How could we help them? What could our role be in this society?
Very good question. This happens only by, it's like a ripple effect. Like you carry it on to somebody, you start living that role. So your neighbor starts looking at you and see how you have blossomed, and then she starts connecting with you, she starts learning. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen in next year. But if we start, like how Srisha has started this program, Prerana, I think it will slowly, the ripple effect will take care of it. Yeah?
Thank you, ma'am.
We can all join hands, definitely. We should be the start.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
As we all know, from Medapalayam to Coimbatore, we reconstruct the roads. But this time we have cut lots of trees. Do you think it is good? As from my side, I see it like an development to NS. What do you think?
Good question.
Thank you.
When a city grows, when a region grows, you definitely have to provide the infrastructure, right? Now there are lot more cars, close to about 2 lakh vehicles getting registered very frequently, almost on a daily basis. Where would all those cars go? You need the highways, you need the road expansion, but if you have a long-term vision, you know the city is growing. Now what is it that you need to ensure the city grows without having to have all this? You can start planting trees, right? You know areas, arterial roads which come to the city have to be widened, there's no other choice. But instead of that, you can start planting trees, which is what we did very close to our factory.
Yes.
If you pass through Precall, we planted trees inside our compound. So even if definitely there will be a big void, but still we will have the shade. So each one, that's why I said each one of us has to take charge. Not only for my home, but maybe for my street, maybe for my city. If each one of us started taking charge, see, why is it that a youngster like you in Coimbatore has observed that, and you're feeling upset, right?
Yes.
It's painful. For a person to be sensitive to it, I think your school has played a big role.
Sure.
I don't think I've heard this kind of interaction with students from other cities. I've interacted with other students, but not this kind of eco-consciousness. I think your school has played a big role, but we need to take charge.
Sure.
I'm sure there are a lot of other opportunities available to make sure our roads can still be wide and we will still have a green cover.
Thank you.
It's inevitable, ma. Urbanization takes its toll on natural resources, but there's always a way out.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Does our society paves way for feminization? If not, how can we frame our society?
Of course, there's probably not at the pace at which it is desired, but definitely there's a lot more aware of, you want to know whether women are given more.
We are not given proper guidance like last recent news. And I'm so sad for that.
Yes.
How can we protect?
That again is something where something like that happens and it is all hushed up, right? Now it has gone beyond control, and that's how it has surfaced. I think for this there needs to be a lot of awareness, and the parental support, it comes from the home. I think there has to be a lot more time that parents have to spend with their children, telling them what to do and what not to do. That is very, very important. Unfortunately today, there are a lot of working women where time spent with the children has started becoming less. We have lost out on joint families where the grandmother would always be at home, where an aunt would be at home, where you could always go back, and there would be a lot of protection. Whereas today children go back to empty homes, they don't know what to do, and things like this. I'm sure this will open up the eyes for many people, and things will have to change. It can't go on like this forever.
Thank you.
Fundamentally, I think it is the breakdown of the family value system, family values, that has Costas.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Those are great questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I loved answering your questions. Yeah.
Very good evening, ma'am. I'm really privileged to be here this evening. And as a woman entrepreneur, to ask you, and moreover being an ecologist, I really want to know how you balance both of the both extremities, like being a woman entrepreneur and side by side you do so much things to the nature, mother nature. Seeing you, things arise from my mind is how does she manage, how do you gracefully manage to do both the things? And do you think it is possible to manage both the things side by side with everything, with possible mind satisfaction? Don't you get any obstacles like, do I miss out some things? Oh no, the work is getting delayed. Do you procrastinate anything, or I really want to know about that?
No, it's all about organizing your time, organizing your priorities. I think I keep saying I don't have time, but I'm sure there's a lot more that I can squeeze into my schedule if I really manage my time better. It's a question of managing your time. Okay, being an entrepreneur, did I have a choice? No. It was my duty that I had to do for my family. Being an eco-conservationist, that was my passion. So I balance my duty and my passion. I don't neglect my duty, so I have the freedom to pursue my passion. That's how I. Have I answered the question?
Yes, ma'am. I've got another one. I'm sorry, but what, according to you, will be your dream project to work on? As an ecologist, we have so many problems which is arising to be solved by us. What do you think will be your dream project to work on? And I'd really like to know about that.
To have the river Noyal flow again throughout the year. And especially make it flow, clean water flow, unlike what is flowing through SSVM.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. I always have a thought that the word impossible, I should change it, I am possible. What do you think about that word, ma'am?
Yes, that is again believing in yourself. If somebody is going to tell you it is impossible, you tell them it is possible, it will be possible. But if you let somebody else tell you, right, it will become impossible. So believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it and you can do it.
Do you have any experience like that? Something is impossible, I have changed it possible, ma'am.
Several things. Both at work. I'm sure it will run into pages.
Thank you so much.
With this, I'd like to end our session. Thanks to Prerana by Object, and I'm very sure we've fulfilled the objective to inspire, transform, and evolve.
Yeah.
And that has happened on a very big scale. And personally, I've had, I think, very short amount of time I've spent very short amount of times with you, but your actions and the way you speak has inspired me so much from my childhood until
so
now,
glad.
and you keep inspiring.
And you've inspired me big time, big time.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And
God bless you, Srisha.
I feel very elated to see that it has happened on a very big scale, having students from 4 schools, and they've all, I'm very sure they've all been intently, listening to you, and they're going to get out of this room with a whole new level of energy, and they're all empowered.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
ma'am.
you. God bless you all.